Hey guys, how's it going? This is Watch, and in this video we're going to be discussing the top 10 advantages the iPhone 6 Plus has over the Nexus 6. So if you're interested in perhaps getting the 6 Plus over a device like the Nexus, I'll tell you top 10 reasons why that might be a good idea. Now, the first advantage the 6 Plus has over the Nexus is definitely its overall better build quality. It's made out of a fully aluminum chassis, which feels very solid in the hand, and even though there was some early issues with some bending action and things like that, you really can forgive it because it's overall a very solid build. I've never had any issues with it bending or anything like that, and it's a very durable product overall. Both the front and back of the device, I think, are really able to withstand a lot of abuse from your day-to-day activities. At number 9, the iPhone is certainly a lot thinner and lighter than the Nexus, and it only measures about 172 grams versus the 184 grams that the Nexus weighs. So if you're interested in a compact, very light and thin phone, this is probably one of the best phablets out there for you. At number 8, the screen on top of the iPhone has an oleophobic coating, which is great for basically resisting grease and fingerprints when you first get it. Eventually it does wear out, but the screen also has a polarizing filter on top of the glass, so you can use it in any kind of brightly lit sunlight conditions, and it'll eliminate a lot of glare that you get from the sun and different lights and things like that. Number 7 has to do with the Touch ID system, which is probably one of the best fingerprint scanners integrated in any smartphone. It responds to your fingerprint very fast, and you can basically scan your print in any orientation, and it works tremendously well. Unfortunately, we do not have any of that kind of technology on the Nexus. Moving forward in terms of processing speed, although the 805 in the Nexus is certainly a fast processor when it comes to multi-core processing, in terms of single-threaded applications, which a lot of mobile apps use, the A8 that's inside the Apple iPhone 6 Plus is quite a bit faster than what you find in most of these quad-core CPUs in the Android phone. So in terms of that, taking a look at some of the Geekbench results and things like that, and even the Antutu benchmark, we can certainly see that sometimes that A8, even though it's a dual-core processor, certainly can edge up of what the Snapdragon 805 can do. Now, moving along in terms of iOS 8, I really like the handoff and continuity features. So if you're working on one iOS device, you can seamlessly merge and continue working on whatever you were doing on one iOS device to the other. So if you have a couple of iPads lying around and you're using the iPhone 6 Plus or even some older iPhones, it makes it very seamless, and the integration is really well done. Now, there are a lot of different applications that are available in Android, and certainly Google Drive has a lot of great synchronization, but nothing is as seamless as in the new iOS 8. The other cool thing about iOS 8 is that it has a remote Wi-Fi calling. So basically, if you're running a Yosemite operating system on your Mac and you have the latest generation iOS 8 on your other devices, such as in your iPad, you can basically receive and send calls via your iPhone phone number. So you can potentially even use it as a home phone number. Now, Wi-Fi calling is also possible on the Nexus, but again, not as seamlessly integrated and as easy to use as what we find in iOS 8. Now, one other interesting factor about the 6 Plus is even though it has a lower resolution full HD screen compared to the quad HD screen on the Nexus, we do have on average a little bit better battery life on the iPhone 6 because it doesn't have to power that high resolution quad HD display all the time, versus the Nexus can certainly get bogged down and the battery life can suffer a tiny bit compared to what you find on the iPhone. But generally speaking, battery life is always dependent upon how you use the device, but I usually get just a couple of more percentage here and there at the end of my day when I'm using the iPhone 6, versus the Nexus can certainly last the full day, but it struggles in that next day if you don't charge your phone. Furthermore, in terms of internal memory, we do have a larger option available on the iPhone 6 Plus. We have a 128 gigabyte option versus the Nexus only comes in 32 and 64 gigabytes. And unfortunately, both of these devices don't have any user expandable memory. So basically, if you do watch a lot of movies and store a lot of videos and photos and listen to a lot of music, certainly if you want the largest capacity, you're kind of stuck on 64 gigs versus you can go all the way up to 128 gigabytes on the iPhone, which may be an advantage for some people. Secondly, the 6 Plus does have a one-hand operation mode, so you can double tap on the home button and basically drop down your top part of the display down so you can reach it with one thumb. And it is fairly easy to use, and this phone is not quite as large as the Nexus, so it is definitely possible to use it with one hand, and that one-hand operation mode definitely helps out even if you have medium-sized hands. And the last and final thing that I really like about the 6 Plus is the slow motion capabilities on the camera. Now, the Nexus sure could have much higher resolution in terms of stills and video, but it still doesn't have any major slow motion capabilities. And right now, the top slow motion smartphone camera is in the iPhone 6 Plus with 240 frames per second at 720p, which is a very impressive and cool looking footage that you get straight off of the camera. And that's really it in terms of the unique advantages of the iPhone 6 Plus over the Nexus. I'm sure you guys can think of some other ones, but these are the ones that I personally think if I were to choose an iPhone, I would be probably thinking of some of these advantages. So definitely let me know what you guys think of the entire video. And also, if you want to hear the counterpart of this argument, I also have a video about the top 10 reasons of why the Nexus is better than the iPhone. So definitely stay tuned for our channel for that. And there's a link to that video at the end of this video. But other than that, thank you so much for watching again, and we'll see you later. Take care.